Welcome back to the Celtic Craft Studio. I'm Terry, and let me start by quoting Rachel. The struggle is real. I was going to show you how to sew signatures in a journal, and I was doing such a great job. Got all the signatures sewed in, got them glued into my journal cover, and realized my camera was not filming because it didn't have enough space. So we begin again. Let me show you though the journal now that the signature is in. Okay, and we can remove all the clips, and you'll see why I use these clips a little later. All right, if they'll come off. I think they will. Yes, they will. And then we can take all these other clips off. Let me get my container over here so I can put them away. All right, so we have 3 signatures. This is the last one. And I've glued the envelopes in. Okay. Remove these clips. Holding everything down until everything is dry. I had to let this dry overnight. Ugh. Put everything in the right place here. All right, so we have it. Fortunately, I have several journals on the go, so we will show you sewing in the journal again. I see a little place that needs some, because it looks very white. All right. Okay, so there we have it. Our journal all sewn into the cover and ready for our next steps. But as promised, I will show you how to sew in a signature. So let me get my other one that I'm working on and get it down here. Okay, so I'm working on this one too. So I'll show you how to sew the signatures in this one. Here's my signature. I don't even know where the other one left off, so I might be repeating myself, but that's okay. I don't know if I'm going to attach the 2 videos or have 2 separate videos. We'll see how it goes. No promises. All right, so here's, once again, I have 3 signatures in this one, okay? And this is the first, because when I sew in signatures, I always sew the third one, the third signature in first. I go from back to front, okay? So I've gone ahead and sewn the third one in, put the envelope in, the second signature, and put the envelope in. Okay, I had clips on all the pages, but once I get them sewn in, I take a couple off so it's not so cumbersome, especially when you go to sew the last one in. All right, so here's the first signature that needs to be sewn in. All right, what I've done, these papers are from the Old Design Shop. I believe that's the name of her. I'll link it in the description. I love her stuff. She's got some beautiful graphics. And we've got some specialty paper, some handmade papers. There's, I believe this was an Artie Mays. I believe that's an Artie Mays paper. Here's my tea-dyed paper that I've spoken about before. Go visit Nell at the Vintage Style Snippets. She has beautiful tea-dyed paper. Look at the detail in that. Isn't that gorgeous? All right, here's Old Design Shop, already made. I did a piece of straw paper that I decorated with a punch. All right. Old Design Shop. Here's some Edith. Edith does not fit into the journal, so it has to be folded, and then you can fold it out and see the design. Okay. There's already maize, and we're going to put an envelope in the middle. All right. We know all the pages are going the right direction. So let's go ahead and line everything up and put our clips on. Oh, here, I got some here. As I mentioned in the beginning of the other video, this is not for the faint of heart. You got to have lots of hands, and I only have 2. Sewing a signature is a little clumsy. I don't know of any beautiful way to do it. But I'll show you how I do it. Okay. All right, I'm going to move these other clips out of the way. All right, so once you've got all your pages clipped in, let's release this a little, it's a little tight. Okay, once you have all your pages clipped, let's make sure it folds okay. That'll make a difference when we make the holes. This clip down here doesn't want to cooperate. I think it's a little tighter than the others. Okay. You want to make the holes where you're going to punch, okay? So I'm going to take my spine and I'm going to lay it down on the paper. Except make sure you got the top at the top. This one is not lining up as nice. Oh, that's right. I remember I had to change the... Okay. All right. So we're going to erase this one because it's not quite right. Because I want them lined up with the holes I already have. All right. So let's erase what I had here. I used my ruler and the ruler wasn't correct. So let's erase what I have here. Okay. So here's the center hole, the top hole, and the bottom hole. All right, so we have all of those. And then I also mark the top, so I make sure I know which is the top, so when I sew it in, I've got the top at the top. Believe me, I've learned that the hard way. Check, double check, always important. All right, time to poke the holes. Let me find my skinny awl, which I think is important. When I first started, I had a larger awl, and it made big holes and did not look as well. So I got a smaller awl that pokes small holes and looks much better. All right, I'm going to poke it in, and I'm going to bring it up and wiggle it a little. The reason I do that is if you look at your awl, it's not the same size all the way down. And I want the hole to be a little bigger so that the string will go through. All right. All right. Excuse my head if I'm in the shot, but sometimes you need to see what you're doing. Imagine that. This one I put the hole. Make sure you get in the crease. The hole I made, or the dot I made, was not in the crease. You've got to have it in the crease. So I will make up for my error and go ahead and erase that. Make sure, and that's why you hold it up like this, so that you're finding the crease. Somebody's husband made them a cradle, which is an excellent idea. I don't know if I can talk my husband into making me a cradle, but maybe we'll ask. All right, so once you've got the holes in, I put my holy book aside. This is what I punch into, so I'm not punching my mat. Let me get my twine. Okay. I use the Paper Studio twine that comes in a multitude of colors. Now, most people use wax string. I have tried it. It doesn't work for me. I don't like it. This, to me, gives me more resistance, and it's thicker than most twines. I found twine at not Hobby Lobby. This comes from Hobby Lobby. At the dollar store, which is very thin. Don't use something like that because it can easily break. All right, so this is the twine from Hobby Lobby, the Paper Studio. I'm going to use a beigey color because it's neutral. It's not going to stick out and say, hey, here I am. All right. And what I'm going to do is get 3 lengths of this. I'm going to go just roughly. Doesn't have to be precise. I'm going to do 3 and then cut it and use that to sew my signature in. But fast forward, I have already threaded my needle. Okay. So let's go ahead and line all this up. Put the top at the top. Once again, double checking, triple checking. I do not want to get this wrong and have to take it apart. We've had enough trials and tribulations for one day. All right. And let me show you a little tip. The extra card that came off the signature that we made, I cut it up into little pieces, and then I use it for reinforcement. I fold it so that the colored side is in, because if your envelope is see-through, you don't want to see those colors that probably don't go with your journal. This is made out of cardstock, so I don't think it would show through, but we're going to do that anyway. I'm going to put it through there. This is just going to help reinforce our hole as we take the string through, so that we don't end up with a larger hole or a tear. Okay. So I've taken my string through the reinforcement piece. I've taken the string through the envelope. And now I am going to take the string through the middle hole. Okay. Like that. All right. If you have problems pulling that through the hole, I have a pair of little pliers here. Let me show you. Long nose pliers that I use to pull the needle through if it doesn't want to cooperate. Okay. So we've got our needle through the center. Hold that tail so it's not going anywhere on you. You don't want to have to rethread. And I'm trying to get in a place where you can see. All right, then I'm going to find that bottom hole. I'm going to bring it up. You know what? It would help if we got it to our signature here. Middle hole. told you. This is not for the faint of heart. Okay. We are now connected to the signature. All right. Now, bottom hole, if we can. If you have to repunch the hole, because sometimes paper holes like to close up on you. Get that uncaught. Make sure it's going straight. Yep. Now, let's put it through this hole. Okay. Don't let your tail go away. So let's get that tail again. Pull this up. Okay. Not caught on anything. Now, for me, this is the hardest part. You want to go back down through the center hole without catching your twine. So I go to the right of the hole, or right of the twine, let's put it that way. Go through the reinforcing. Pull that tight so it's not in your way and you're going through it. If you split your string, it will not work. Okay? Your binding will be loose, it won't be tight, and it'll cause all kinds of problems. So don't split your stitch. All right. Oh, it's going to come. I thought I was going to reach for the pliers there for a moment. Okay, pull that tight. And then before I go back up through the hole, see, and it's moving carefully, so I know I haven't split my stitch. Then I always come over here and I check to make sure everything looks tight. I don't have anything caught. All right, now we're going to hold the tail and come back through the top hole. Okay, top hole. Ugh. All right. Ooh. It wants to all come through at the same time. It has to take its turn, please. Take a turn. All right. Once again, I'm going to pull it tight. Get my envelope centered. Pull it tight. And check it. Okay, everything looks tight, everything looks straight. So while I hold this tight and I put my finger down, I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to go under the thread over here. And then I'm going to put this up over because I want that knot to be right in the center of that reinforcement piece. I'm going to put my finger down again to hold it tight, and I'm going to come through and make a knot nice and tight. Okay, let's check. See, we can play a tune on that. Probably not, and I won't. All right, so I'm going to put a couple more knots. I usually do 3 knots just to make sure it's not going anywhere. Okay. So there we go. And then I bring it up. I don't want it to show. So I cut it right about there. All right, let me put this needle where I won't lose it. I got a cushion, pin cushion up here. I'll put it right in there. All right. So once again, so it's not too cumbersome, I'm going to take some of these out. I'm going to take every other one. So it closes a little easier, makes life a little easier. Okay. Now, I am going to glue the signature in. Okay, making sure everything's straight. Let's do, you know, let's go ahead. Sometimes I do this after, but let's do it now. Let's close the envelope. I'm confident we got everything going the right way, so once you're confident of that, it's okay to glue it. You know, you need, because you don't want to have to rip your envelope out if you have to cut the string and start again. So okay, and we will glue the envelope shut. Get any globby bits. I can see I'm going to have to trim that envelope a little, but that's okay. We will do that later. And I'm going to put a couple paper clips on it to hold it in place. Now, this next part I usually do on my lap because I don't have enough hands. I put it on my lap and then I glue down the thing. But we will try it this way. You want to try to straighten that too. It's a little bent because I folded it so I could get those straight. All right. So it looks straight to me. I'm going to take my large bottle of glue because has a bigger tip. Okay. And I'm going to glue first along the string. Because that just reinforces it to have that string glued down. I have never had strings break but once. And I don't know if it broke. Somebody thought it went to Canada. The journal went to Canada. And somebody told me that Canada apparently has a problem with our journals, and they had their journal threads cut, so they thought maybe that's what had happened, but I don't know. I don't know what happened. It hasn't ever happened again, so I don't know. Once again, we're going to go back over the string. You can kind of daub in those holes to make sure the holes are nice and okay. Once again, don't get too blobby. I don't want to be squeezing out of along the edge, okay? I think I ask okay way too much, but just want to make sure you're okay. All right, let's put that down, kind of line it up where you know make sure it folds closed. Oh yeah, looking good. All right, so we've got it down. Like I say, you want to make sure that's kind of folded back so that it's not gonna bow on you. So let's put, once you know you're all lined up, then I put a clip if you can. If you can't, let's put a paper clip. Sometimes they don't fit in there, sometimes they do. All right, so let's put a paper clip. The paper clip will just hold it down until it dries. All right. Once again, let's check the front. Make sure we're all lined up. Everything looks even. Make sure you don't have any globby glue coming out. Here, this looks like it needs to come this way just a little. Okay. Once again, check and double check. Now this one doesn't have the lace on it yet. It will eventually have the lace. Probably have pockets, something. I'm not sure what, but then I kind of make sure everything's adhered here. Once again, it's a hidden spine. See, so I'm not hiding this beautiful. I love, 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 love that. All right, so then I'm going to set it over here to my right. I know you can't see, but I'm setting it so that it's going this way. All right, while it dries. Needs to dry. I do 24 hours just to make sure it's nice and dry. So I'm going to put it over here to my right so it's standing up and it can dry. All right, so here we are. Here we are with our signatures sewn into our journal. Now comes the fun part. I love the next part. The next part we will decorate. Remember I have the nice picture on here. Now a lot of people, we have two schools of thought. And, you know, that's what makes this community wonderful. Everybody does things their way. Everybody has their own ideas, and they inspire you to try different things. Some people like to decorate the pages before they put them in, and some don't. I'm one that doesn't. I tried it once, putting things in, and unfortunately, it got in the way. It didn't work for me. So I put it all together and then I decorate. So next week we will work on pockets for our journal. All right. Already have some started. And let me give you a hint before we do ephemera next week so that you can gather your things. If we're working together, you can gather your things for next week. This set, where is Marley's paper here so I can show you again? Marley Design Digital's time-stamped ephemera. It's where the envelopes and some of the papers come from. Okay? So go on. You can download the papers, but she also has an ephemera kit that has pockets and envelopes. I used her envelopes. There's some journaling tags, things you can use in your journal. But I also wanted to use some things from the Cotton and Twigs set. All she has, though, is papers. So let me show you what I did. I went ahead and printed off a double set of the Cotton and Twig papers. Okay. So that I could make things from them. And what I made some pockets. We're going to have some wraparound pockets. that I'm going to put in here. Okay, these will go on that side. And wraparound pockets for this side. And they're the Rachel type of pockets, so you will have a place to stick things on both sides. All right. And then I also made tags. There's some strips that we can use for tucks. And then there's the tags. Okay. So if you don't have an ephemera kit for something, use the pages. Use the pages, print it out, and then create your own ephemera, which is what I did. So next week we will go ahead and start decorating our journal with these things. Like I say, we'll be concentrating on pockets, maybe tucks. So we will do that next week in part 3. Once again, I don't know if this will get attached to the video that abruptly stopped. You'll know if you watch part 2 and abruptly stops, and that's it. You'll know that I put this off until the next time. We'll see. We'll see what happens in the editing process. But thank you again for joining me. Thank you for your support. I hope that you will subscribe. Tell your friends about it. I'd love to see what you're doing if you're working on a journal. I'd love for you to maybe post on my Facebook page. Let me know what you're doing. Leave a little comment saying you're working with me and this is what you're making. I'd love to see that. Thank you guys for being here. I'll see you the next time. Until then, stay crafty.